Hello, everyone, and welcome live to 3 Wide TV. And, well, you can't really see anything. There we go. Wow, that took a while to pop up here tonight. Hope everyone's having a good night. Here live from the Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm Peter Short, and alongside me is Andre Graham-Bush. And Andre, the only dirt race that we'll have this season here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. And it's here tonight at the Bull Ring, the last great Coliseum, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely the most unique event on the calendar. Love it or hate it, it only comes around once a year, so you got to take some enjoyment at least out of the novelty of it for sure. These trucks were not built for dirt. I know every time we go to a road course, we always got to say, yeah, you know, they're stock cars. They were built to turn left, and well, we're turning left, but I don't think they were built for this either, Peter.
Yeah, for sure, that is true. These cars are very, very heavy, and definitely something that these drivers are going to have to put up with all night long here as we work our way around here to wrap up the practice session here momentarily. And let's see if we can get everything squared away here, because, Andre, we're moving into the qualifying session here for everyone at home. And let's see if we can get a couple of these drivers. I was watching quite a bit of the practice session that we had just a little while ago, and it really did seem like this driver here was very strong on the long run. Maybe didn't have exactly the short run pace, wasn't the fastest of everyone, but definitely one to watch out for tonight, and that is Philip Scott.
Yeah, he definitely has a feel for the dirt. I don't know if he's really done any other dirt racing on the service or what his experience there is, but it seems like he's pretty familiar with it, because just the way he's getting into the corner, he's kind of avoiding a lot of the mistakes I see drivers unfamiliar with dirt make. If you're unfamiliar with dirt, sometimes you flick the car a little bit too hard into the corner. Sometimes you kind of struggle to carry a neat, tidy radius as you slide through the corner, but he's not having that problem. He is able to keep that car pretty consistently sliding, as now we take a look at the 51 as well, as he is out here on top of the scoring pylon, at least for the moment, with a 20.56, which, tell you what, I was going to say that's going to be a tough lap time to beat, but then here comes Doug Neal on that 77. Before I can even get the words out of my mouth, he takes it by about 0.1 seconds. So that 77 machine at top of the scoring pylon. And look at that low line, Peter. He's not rocking the high line like everybody else. I've been watching a lot of drivers. They all seem to prefer the top, but that 77, he was doing pretty good down low. Now maybe trying to feel out the top. And man, oh man, the corners are so tough here, Peter, because if you look at a lot of dirt tracks around the country, one thing you don't see a whole lot of is banking, right? Most dirt tracks are fairly flat. You might see 5 or at the very maximum 10 degrees of banking. You don't see Coliseum-esque tracks that have this much banking. And there's a reason for it. It makes dirt racing really tough. It wants to drag the car down to the bottom. It makes it tough to keep a consistent radius. And these guys are going to have to deal with that all night long. Freeman almost taking the pole, missing out by just about 0.05 of a second. Doesn't get much closer than that. Here goes another driver just wrapping up his qualifying lap, first lap, Adam Dama in the 28. He is looks like P9. Actually, I almost didn't see him on the scoring pylon, but about 0.8 seconds back.
Yeah, and I got to watch out for this number 14 truck as well. Jeff Price was pretty quick in the practice session we had a little while ago, getting it absolutely all hung out there in turns number 3 and 4, coming to the start-finish line. We'll see where the number 14 drops on the scoring pylon, jumps up into the top 5, into 4th. Doesn't look like lap 2 is going to go very well as he puts it into the sand barrels there at the end of the backstretch pit road. But Adam Dama still out there, maybe just getting some extra laps in for practice. Not a bad idea. Here's Bryce Hunter, the number 19, out of Kansas City, Missouri, working his way down the backstretch in the Napa Auto Parts Chevy Silverado, slinging through turn number 3 and 4. He's going to come to the line 14th on lap number 1. Can Bryce pick it up on lap number 2 here? Does indeed, puts himself 12th, picks up 2 spots on his second lap. Nate Maurer, the 971, well, he's in the fence. This lap won't count, but he was able to pole vault himself up into the top 5. Let's see who else we have still out there on the racetrack. It looks like it's just Dama getting those extra laps in the frayed, not number 28 Ford 150 as he works his way through turn number 3 and 4. But Andre, most of the drivers have been able to get a lap time in. Looks like we've got 15 drivers who have taken time. Garrett Gleason, John Flamian, Jimbo Casterline, Michael McCauley, not yet putting lap times in. Same thing with Paul Bilson. Looks like Tristan Maher in the number 17 did get 2 laps in, but Andre got incident points, which has disqualified his lap time, so the number 17 will have to come from the back tonight.
That is unfortunate. Now, usually with dirt racing on iRacing, the qualifying scrutiny is a little bit more lenient. Usually you can get an X or 2 on the wall and it still counts, but I suppose the league admins decided, no, we can't have people pulling a Ross Chastain, which is an understandable decision, to say the least. So it is going to disqualify them if they rack up an X on their lap. And it's bit a few drivers, but I think it's doing its intended purpose of just keeping qualifying clean and making sure that these guys keep it off the wall and on the track. But we'll see how that fares in the race. I'm really excited to see how this track gets a little bit later in the night as qualifying has the checkered flag fly. But the track is going to change so much, so that'll be fun to keep an eye on. But with that said, the drivers are heading out to the grid, and I would assume we've got our starting order. Doug Neal on the pole in that 77. He took it pretty early on, and nobody was able to recapture it, and he's going to be alongside Jason Freeman in second. Matt Cherry in that 51. He sat on the pole for a moment before Doug Neal took it away, and now he is going to be P3 right alongside Jeff Price. That was a driver you said to look out for there, Peter. And 5th place goes to Nate Maurer with only actually 1 lap counting. His second lap may have been a little bit quicker. We'll never know. Stephen Lashinsky in the 9 car is going to be P6. Philip Scott is going to be 7th place alongside Adam Newton in 8th. Rounding out our top 10, Fred Lester and Zach Howell.
And then back behind Zach Howell, we got Adam Dama, Bryce Hunter on row number 6. Then on row number 7, Vincent Valvano with a new look this week on the number 64. We'll highlight that. Mitchell Adams, former series champion here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. He'll be rolling off from the outside of that row. Brandon King and Tristan Maher on row number 8 tonight. Maher, the first driver not to get a lap time in qualifying. Jimbo Casterline will be rolling off from the inside of row number 9 with Garrett Gleason alongside him. Michael McCauley and Paul Bilson going to round out our top 20 starters here tonight, and John Flamian will be shotgun on the 21 truck field. If you're in the chat right now, we want to welcome you. We got a couple of good faces in here. We got Alicia Casterline, Scott Crump in the chat. I was just about to mention Scott Crump because he is our points leader coming into tonight, but not in the field. I think he's just getting off vacation is what I think I saw. Came into tonight with a 59-point lead over Philip Scott, so it could be a big night for the number 99 World Ninja League machine. He'll roll off in 7th. Dominic Tesoro also not seeing him in the field here tonight, so not sure what's going on with the Tesoro brothers. Tristan Maher, Julian Tesoro rounding out our top 5 in points entering in tonight. And if you want to look at where your favorite driver is in the point standings, well, you can do so. There's a link in the description of the video to the point standings. You just go there, you click on it. It was updated after the last race at Texas Motor Speedway, where we saw Scott Crump finally make his way to victory lane in a great race at Texas Motor Speedway. But definitely going to be enjoying this one from the chat here tonight. Darian Caitlin in the chat as well, rooting on Adam Dama. Julian Tesoro in there. Johnny Williams saying hello all and good luck. Good luck all and hello to the booth. Almost got that backwards. Let's go Jason Freeman also coming from Johnny Williams. But Andre, we're about to crank him up and we'll see some side-by-side racing here on the dirt. It's going to be tricky for these drivers over the opening few laps.
Yeah, they're going to be in a very condensed pack, which is going to make a treacherous track just that much more difficult. But the worry right now is going to have to be wheel spin. These starts on dirt are not easy. As you see the 77 getting that nose pointed towards the outside wall, that's the wheel spin, but he does a good job keeping it gathered up. Now, he does clip the apron a little bit on corner entry. That stalled out some momentum, kept everybody behind him right on his heels. But fortunately, I think we're going to make it through turns 1 and 2 and maybe even 3 and 4. Pretty much good to go, taking the first lap complete, and look at that, no issues.
Yeah, great job there by the whole field. We have seen some great racing out of these drivers so far this season. So far, biggest mover of the race is this driver right here, Philip Scott, already picking up 2 spots on the opening lap all the way on the bottom side of the racetrack. Now, Andre, what I expect to see, as they actually did reset the track condition to the full green state, kind of at the beginning of practice, at the beginning of qualifying, and at the beginning of the race, the track will continue to migrate up towards the top side of the racetrack. You might see a couple of these drivers really good at running the bottom side of the racetrack, but as the race goes on, the bottom side of the racetrack might start to give away, and that outside line will start to become the predominant line, as we've got some good racing a little bit further back in the pack. Number 29 of Adam Newton, who we're focusing on right there, has dropped 1 spot since the drop. The green flag is up towards the top 5. We got the number 14 of Jeff Price having connection issues in the back channel. Productions number 14. He's going to stay to the bottom side of the racetrack, let Philip Scott on by. Probably a good idea. There's a little bit of a bubble back behind him, but Philip Scott going to whip around the outside now. I think the first time we've seen one of these drivers kind of use that outside line to make a pass, but let's see here if Brandon King can do the same, Andre.
He's going to try to make a move up in that cushion. Now, on the cushion, the car is not going to slide quite as much. It's got a little bit more grip up there for these trucks, at least as far as iRacing is concerned. May not be that way in real life, but iRacing, these trucks have a little bit more grip, so you notice he doesn't get quite as sideways, but huge contact, and that is going to put 2 drivers in the wall. Brandon King, unfortunately, some right side damage there, but to the viewers at home, if your driver hits the outside wall, if the guy you're pulling for gets a little bit of damage, don't worry. This is not like the other 30-some-odd races of the year. Here on dirt, they beat, they bang, they hit the wall, they get some damage on the bodywork, but unless they get engine damage, it ain't going to slow that truck down. They're going to be just as competitive after slamming that wall as they're going to be before it. So we're going to see a lot of issues. It's also why you're not really going to see us call out every single driver that hits the outside wall. It's going to happen quite a bit, and it's not really going to affect their car that much. Speaking of the outside, there goes Philip Scott trying to make another move, this time on the number 51 of Matt Cherry, and he is going to take that podium position from him. Took him a few laps to work him over, but now he's got that clean track in front of him, and once he made that pass, migrated down back beneath the cushion. Let's do some onboard riding here, see exactly what it takes to get around dirt Bristol. As a number 17, a little bit of contact with the 47, or I'm sorry, the 37, if I could read properly. Puts the 37 into the outside wall, but again, not gonna be too much of an issue as far as damage is concerned. Now side by side with Adam Newton in that 29. Newton's got what seems to be the preferred line on the outside. I think that's what the consensus is among the drivers right now. They want to be up top, but you mentioned it already, Peter. Once the drivers start running this race and they put laps down, iRacing's dirt is a little bit different from real life. Whereas in real life, the lines that get run in, they get rubber laid down, they get more grip over time. In sim, the more a line is run, the less grip it has. It starts to get slicker and slicker until it's unusable. And speaking of slick, well, it must have got a little slick out of turn 4, I believe that is, because we got a bit of a parking lot. We'll take a look at the 3-wide TV replay. Looks like there were 3 cars involved. I believe this is on board with King. Yep, the 55, just a little squirrely out of the turn. Oh. And unfortunately, an overcorrection is going to put him right in the path of the 18, Jimbo. And a few other drivers just trying to squeeze on through. But first caution of the night.
Yeah, I think, let's get another look at this. I think Brandon King might have just been trying to let the leaders on by. Well, no, I take that back. He definitely just got yawed out a little bit too much, because there's that white truck right there was your race leader. That Doug Neal getting actually a piece of damage in all of that mess. Let's see if we can go on board with our race leader and see exactly what he saw in all of this. You see on board, this is the 77 of Doug Neal. 55 just kind of spins back upside the racetrack, and he gets a little lick of that outside wall, but like you said, Andre, probably not that big of a deal for that to happen. So hopefully that is the case, but we're under caution flag for the first time here tonight. Caution laps do count here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. So it looks like Jeff Price is also coming down pit road there at the top of your screen. The Back Channel Productions machine looks like a couple of drivers a little bit further back. Paul Bilson coming in. Garrett Gleason's on pit road. Michael McCauley as well. But already we were seeing lap traffic there around lap number 10. This dirt racing is, well, some drivers get to do a lot of it, Andre, and other drivers stay away from it. But they got no choice here tonight.
Yeah, no choice indeed. If you want to stack up some points, if you want to make sure that your season is complete, you've got to run dirt at least once. And like you said, some drivers are pretty experienced in it. I believe Doug Neal is among those drivers, just based on what I'm seeing tonight. And other drivers, they're a little bit newer to it. And I tell you what, to the viewers at home, iRacing's tough in general. I mean, you take these trucks to an asphalt track, and just making clean laps, if you've never done it, is pretty difficult. And then even as you get better, you get more familiar with iRacing, the stock cars are still pretty unpredictable, tough to handle. And then you put them on dirt. And I think it goes beyond challenging and just into straight up baffling how difficult it can be to navigate these trucks around dirt Bristol. And the fact that they were able to go as far as they did without a caution, and really the fact that the incident itself was just a single car spin that kind of gathered up a few other drivers. They're doing a great job so far tonight. I mean, even these guys that are a little bit less familiar with dirt, they're doing a good job. And tell you what, as long as they're there at the end, I think they're going to have some pretty good points days.
Yeah, I think you are right as well. But 16 laps gone. Waiting to see the pace car lights turn off. I was expecting this to be kind of a quickie yellow. There we go. Pace car, or pace truck rather, lights have turned off. Quick look over at the chat. Makarakesh saying steering was bent from getting doored earlier and was just going around. It was a nightmare. Saying, I'm just glad someone put me out of my misery. Well, a tough break there. That must have been the number 55 machine, Brandon King, in the chat, who we saw get into the wall a little while ago. But meanwhile, we're back green flag, battle for the race lead. Doug Neal did not choose the high line, and look at this. He's getting freight trained. He's already dropped 3 spots as Jason Freeman has gone to the front. Matt Cherry up into second, and here comes Tristan Meyer digging around the outside, maybe thinking about 3 wide here at Bristol Motor Speedway as they head down the front stretch.
Yeah, I think that wheel spin just got that 77 a little bit off the ball, and that allowed the number 20 to close in. Now, the 20 is no slouch. We haven't really talked about him in the race, but remember, his qualifying effort was only a few hundredths off of the pole sitter Doug Neal. So we know that he seems to have his, what should we call it? You get your sea legs, you get your land legs. He's got his dirt legs, it would seem, as he is out to the lead. And the 77 being trapped on that low line right now, Peter, and he is getting freight trained. And it looks like Philip Scott may even make the move here. I don't think this is down to damage, and I don't think this is down to tires. I think that lower line is actually just a little bit slower. It's not the way to get around this track, and it's costing him all that time. Tristan Maher clear and away into third. They're going to go single file 1 through 5, and then just a small gap back to 6th place. But Doug Neal finally gets to the outside, and unfortunately, a little bit of a tap to the wall is going to stall out the momentum, open up the door for a slide job from Philip Scott, but they're not done battling yet. Side by side, 77 down low, 99 up top, and it's going to be another round through 1 and 2. 77 doing a good job holding this line down there, but he's going to slide up, and that's what I was afraid of. Anytime you come out of the corner that low, that momentum is going to carry you to that outside wall. And Peter, they're not done. 3 wide for 4th. My goodness, these guys are not leaving an inch. 99 now, trading positions. He was up top, now he's down low. 77's got the preferred line, but can he hold it? They're going to touch just a little bit. The 48's got a front row seat. He's saying, yeah, you guys keep doing that. And when you guys wreck, I'm going to pass you.
Yeah, Fred Lester definitely sees what's going on right in front of him. Meanwhile, we did have a change for second spot as Tristan Thuggy Maher has worked his way past Matt Cherry, so you can see both battles going on right now as it looks like up front. Here comes Tristan Thuggy Maher. He wants more. He wants the lead. He, remember, had the problem in qualifying where he wasn't able to get a qualifying lap in. Well, it's only taken 24 laps for him to work his way up into second. It has been a flying start from the Eclipse Photography Ford F-150 as he's going to drop to the low side. Freeman still hanging on. Looks like Philip Scott at least has the better of this battle for now. Well, I don't know. I think I spoke too soon there, Andre, because Doug Neal's fighting back for 4th again as the front 3 goes single file. Great action up here at the front of the field.
It's been a heck of a battle between these two. Respectful racing. They made that little bit of contact earlier, but I think they both knew that it was not intentional, and they're not racing any different than they were before it happened. They're just going at it side by side. Now the 99 gets a whale of a run through the corner. That's going to put him alongside the number 51, and that would be for third. Matt Cherry trying to play some defense on the outside. He's right up against that cushion. He's got his right rear on that cushion. Now you got to be careful when it comes to that outside line, because the grip level is so different in the cushion, right? If you get your right rear in the cushion, you're good to go, right? You keep that right rear, you can get through the corner, car feels good. If you put both of your rear tires on that cushion while the front tires are angled down, they're in the slick dirt, that is a one-way ticket to a wreck. So they've got to be very cautious running this outside line, but it seems that the 17, he's been dedicated to that high line all night long, and you can see right there, just perfect. I mean, the way he's getting through that corner is, I think he might have some experience here, Peter.
Yeah, that number 17 running right up there in the cushion, that darker pile of dirt that you see up there, it just adds a little bit more banking and a little bit more grip up there here in the iRacing.com simulator. That's usually the place you want to go, but I've seen some drivers still making passes on the inside of the racetrack. We saw Philip Scott able to make a move on the number 51 of Matt Cherry. He's now up into third. Now, I was watching him in practice. I was really impressed with the long run pace out of the number 99 machine. I think that's what we're starting to see here creep in. Tire wear does play a factor here at Bristol Motor Speedway in dirt. You kind of don't think it would, because they're just kind of slip sliding around, but you know, having fresh tires, having fresh teeth on the tires really does help your overall pace. And if you can save those tires over a run, it pays dividends towards the back half of the run. And that's, I think, what we're seeing here out of the 99 and potentially even the number 17 as he starts to scoot away. Leaders having to deal with lap traffic. That's the number 7 of Garrett Gleason staying down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. But looking up and down the scoring pylon, not a whole lot of battles to talk about beyond this one. But currently, right up at the front, we got the best battle here between Freeman and Philip Scott. Scott's going to try that bottom side here, Andre. Can he get enough grip down there to potentially make a pass? It's enough for him to draw level kind of mid-corner, but just can't get the power down.
Yeah, he's got to be really careful on these corner exits, and I think that's what's preventing him from making the move. You can't really flat-foot it out of the corner when you are taking that low line, because as we saw earlier with Doug Neal, you're going to slide up to that outside wall, and when you're side by side, obviously that's not really an option unless you want to have an incident. So he's got to let off the throttle, even if it's just a little bit, but regardless of having to let off the throttle, he's got the position, because the number 20 got into that outside wall a little bit, and that was enough to just slow him down, and the classic iRacing sticky wall pretty much had him up there for the whole straightaway. So that gave the 99 a little bit of room to breathe, as now, look at this, our leader is in traffic, and that checked him up enough for the 99 to close in. Now the 17 had half a straightaway lead, and this is what is so fun about dirt racing. That half a straightaway lead, Peter, is gone. It is now bumper to bumper due to one lap car, and they're going to be dealing with lap traffic all night long should this stay green. So it is never over until it's over when it comes to dirt. But I will say, I should remind the viewers at home, there is a stage in this race, just as there is in any other race in the season. This stage, in particular, is going to be at the halfway mark. Lap 50 is no! The 99 noses into the inside wall. I think he's stuck, Peter.
Yeah, I think that is night done for the number 99 machine. That is absolute terrible break for the World Ninja League machine. He was hoping to have a good night here tonight with Scott Crump not in the show. Let's see if we can break down what happened here coming out of turn number 4 in slow-mo. Starting to drift up the racetrack. He's on the bottom side of the racetrack. Bilson's on the top side. Bilson completely sideways. He's trying to save the black and yellow truck. Comes down the racetrack. They make just a little bit of contact, and that's all she wrote. Boom, straight into the inside wall. And like you said, stuck. World Ninja League isn't going to perform any Ninja League maneuvers to get out of that wall tonight.
Yeah, that's tough for the 99. Gut-wrenching to see. But I can't really assign blame to either driver. That's kind of the nature of dirt racing. It's so hard to hold a consistent lane. And you could say that Bilson came down just a little bit. But again, you come out of these corners and the truck just wants to go every which way. 99 was coming up, Bilson's coming down, and ultimately they just came together. And that's dirt racing. Things can change. We just mentioned it. Our leader, Tristan Maher, he got caught up in lap traffic, and it took away his huge advantage he had. And then 99 gets caught up in lap traffic, and his night ends as we go on board with Bilson. Keep an eye on that steering wheel. You can see he's doing everything he can to keep it off of the 99. I mean, he was turned towards the outside wall, but that truck just said, nope, I'm sliding down. And that's another reason that a lot of dirt tracks don't have this much banking, Peter. You don't really want to have your car sliding down lanes of traffic, which is exactly what it wants to do here at Dirt Bristol, especially in the corners. But even on the straightaway, there is a fair amount of banking on the straightaway, and so your car naturally wants to drift down the track like we just saw there. And it's tough, man. It is, I would say, of all the races this season, this is going to be the most difficult just from a driving perspective. And we're kind of seeing the result of that. But even so, with how tough this race has been, we have seen some phenomenal battles so far tonight. The 99 and the 77 battling it out, the 51 with the 17. It's just been a ton of fun. And you did mention that, tires do play a bit of a factor, and they do. You get fresh tires, truck's going to feel a little bit better. But the other thing that plays a big factor is tire temperature. And the more you slide and the more of aggressive you are through the corner, the hotter your tires are going to get, the quicker they're going to wear, and the worse it's going to feel. So believe it or not, trying to keep your tire temps down here at Dirt Bristol is a winning strategy. Now, how you can keep your tire temps down, don't ask me. That's why I'm in the booth and they're on the track.
Yeah, you want to say slide less, but sideways is fast. I don't know. It's a tough equation to work out. In the chat, Jimbo Casterline has joined, saying that from that little melee he had that brought out the first caution, that he had 32 minutes of required damage. That is a tough break. Johnny Williams also saying that he hates to see that happen to Philip Scott. That was definitely a tough situation for him, and something you just got to be really cautious about here at Bristol, and especially when you're racing in dirt around other people who don't always race in dirt. And of course, we do have that stage caution that we will have, which is a little bit later than what we usually see here in these NSRA races. Usually that kind of stage happens right in the first 20 or 30 laps, but here tonight it comes out at the halfway mark, and we're about 10 laps away from that. As we go back green, Tristan Thuggy Maher going to lead the field off into turn number 1. Now, if you're looking there on the left-hand side of your screen, you're looking for the number 77. Well, interestingly enough, Doug Neal did come down pit road, Andre, so we got a little bit different strategies going on, and we got a little bit of argy-barginess going on, as well as the 20 and the 51 trading paint. Looks like move Matt Cherry up into second, Jason Freeman back to third, and look at the number 48, Fred Lester, starting to play ball here inside the top 5.
Yeah, we kind of saw him riding behind the 77 and the 99 earlier when they were battling, and he was keeping pace with him, so we know he's got a pretty good car, and he seems to be pretty solid here on the dirt. He's just got to wait a little bit longer, maybe be a little bit methodical working his way through the field. Maybe don't do that. You don't want to enter the corner down on the flat where there's no banking and then get up onto the banking. That's a little bit scary. But he was able to keep it going. Looks like the 29 of Adam Newton's going to say, excuse me, pardon me, but not quite yet, because the 48 gets a good run on the high line. He's going to defend that position for now. We are 4.5 laps away from the end of the stage on lap 50. We got some cars into the wall back there, but going 3 wide, of course, that is just I would say a consequence of that. Nobody really lost too much time or got too much damage, so no biggie there. But this gaggle of cars right here, Adam Newton, he was trying to make the pass on the 48. Now he's fallen back a little bit, and he's got the 19 of Hunter breathing down his neck. He is right there on the quarter panel, and this sticky wall strikes again. Unfortunately for Mitchell Adams in that 49, he got on that outside wall at the corner entry, and I don't think he got off till corner exit. That opened up the door for Jeff Price down low, and it looks like he's going to try to make the move, but again, Peter, he just gets down on that flat on corner exit, and I'm seeing a few drivers do that, corner entry, corner exit, and it is unsettling those trucks something fierce. Here's another battle. Look at this, the 64, Vinny Valvano, he's trying to hold off Lashinsky. Lashinsky running that middle groove, which is, I would say, uncommon in the pack. We see drivers either dedicated to the high line or the low, but as far as the middle goes, looks like Lashinsky is that's where he wants to be. He is going to make that move on Valvano. That is for a top 10 and for a stage point. Every point matters in the season. And the 77, our pole sitter and former race leader, he slipped back a ways, Peter. He's now under fire for P7. He's got the 19 trying to make a move, the 49 down on the flat, getting a little bit sideways. That's costing him even more time. Door to door with the 37. Man, oh man, Doug Neal going to be struggling to get any stage points here, but looks like he is going to salvage at least 8th place. And I believe the stage will conclude when they cross the stripe for this lap.
Yeah, Tristan Maher and Matt Cherry duking it out up at the front of the field. They were able to scoot well away from Jason Freeman as they go across the start-finish line right there, just waiting to see that caution flag, assuming the caution flag will wave here tonight. They are without their normal race admin, which could make things a little bit interesting. There we go. Finally, the yellow does come out. Bryce Hunter going almost around. Usually it's the number 2 machine of Justin White who was unable to make it back for tonight's race. So I believe Jimbo Casterline is in charge here tonight and also here in the 3Y TV chat. But Tristan Maher, who needed a good points night here, Andre, he came into tonight 4th place in points, 65 markers behind Scott Crump, who's not in the field. Philip Scott has had problems here tonight. We saw what happened to him. He is 3rd in points, and then Dominic and Julian Tesoro are not in the race here tonight. So definitely things going the way of Maher at the moment, but we got takers on pit road. A little bit of mixed bag here. We got Maher staying out, Freeman staying out, Bryce Hunter, Zach Howell staying out. Looks like Matt Cherry's in his box. There's a number 77. Bit surprised to see Doug Neal back on pit road. Maybe he's just going to take on fuel, but it looks like Mitchell Adams going to be the first driver off pit road. So interesting strategy calls. Not exactly sure what all the strategy calls are, as Doug Neal looks like he's actually going to get work done on the number 77 Simbox machine. So that's a little contrary to what I would expect, especially with him making a pit stop just a couple of laps back. Maybe he's got more damage than we thought.
Yeah, definitely could have a little bit more damage. We did have, obviously, a driver in the chat saying that he had a bent steering rack from one of the impacts to the wall. So we know that these trucks can take damage. It's tough. It's tough to damage these trucks here at Dirt Bristol, but you can do it. So he may just be getting some damage fixed. And I think most everybody had to pit for fuel. Again, these drivers have 75% fuel capacity. So I think 100 laps may have been a little bit difficult, especially with the absurd gear ratios that we're running here on dirt. You're going to be burning through the fuel pretty quick. And typically for dirt on iRacing, the dirt cars would just be given borderline infinite fuel, since real life dirt cars just don't refuel. But with the trucks and with anything NASCAR related that goes on dirt, you can refuel, and they do refuel between the heat races. So you can come down pit road, you can take on fuel, and that is going to impact the handling, I would say, more so here on dirt than any other track, Peter. I think having that added weight of the fuel is probably more than a little noticeable for these guys.
Yeah, for sure. And when the fuel starts to burn off with these trucks, it definitely changes the handling of the truck and how it drives and how well it's going to slide. It just changes the mass distribution of the vehicle, which, especially when you're carrying that weight, you're kind of throwing the weight into the corners. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's like get a string and throw a weight on the back end of the string and then kind of whip it around a track. That's kind of what driving these things on dirt feels like. They just slide so easy, and the more fuel you have, the more mass you have. And the more mass you have, the more slip-slidey the truck will want to be. But as the fuel burns off, it's definitely going to change its characteristics a little bit, for better or worse. That is probably going to be up to the particular driver and their driving style here on dirt. But We'll let these drivers get back to the action as the iRacing pace truck going to head onto pit road. Tristan Meyer going to get us going. Look at that number 17 struggle to get going, getting sideways under the restart. And look at Jason Freeman sliding up to the racetrack. Zach Howell now in the middle of 3 wide. There's a little bit of contact. Here comes Bryce Hunter on the inside in the number 19. He's going to try and slide up in front of the 37 of Howell. I think he can do so. Here comes Nate Maurer as well in the 971 trying to pick up spots. And look at the gaggle that's behind them. That's Steven Lashinsky who's in the middle of this mess. The number 48 of Fred Lester catching the wall all the way down to the bottom side of the racetrack. You know what, Andre? Lap count, we're in the back half of the race now. I think this is going to be a little bit chaotic for the final half of the race. And speaking of chaotic, There's chaos back there. Doug Neal, the 77, goes around, and that's going to bring out the caution flag, 4th caution of the night.
Tell you what, that 77 became something of a punching bag going on the straightaway. That was contact after contact. Take a look at the 3-wide TV replay. So it actually starts in front of him. Jeff Price and Fred Lester made a little bit of contact. That got Jeff Price a little sideways. And as Doug Neal was trying to make that move on the outside lane, well, Jeff Price came up just that little bit. They came together. You'll see right in front of him, there's that initial contact. And as the 14 was trying to recover, 77 just didn't leave him a whole lot of room to do so. And unfortunately, the contact was a result. But then they actually don't finish wrecking right there because Adam Newton, I believe, got into Dama there a little bit. But they didn't get into the wall. They were able to keep it going. And this is looking back on the onboard, all the chaos, everything happening on the straightaway, just barely squeaking through. That is going to be caution 3 for Cause, I believe, Peter, and the 4th overall.
Yeah, of course, the 3rd caution was the stage caution that we had just a little while ago. Let's go out to the chat. If you're in the chat here tonight, what's your thought of dirt racing? Are you a dirt fan or not? I want to hear what you have to say. I've heard some people, as looks like Garrett Gleason's good to get the lucky dog here. I've heard some people say, Andre, that they're fans of dirt racing. They're just not fans of Bristol dirt. And, I kind of agree with them to a certain degree. I wouldn't say this racetrack has put on the best dirt racing action that we've seen since NASCAR's return to dirt racing back at Eldora. Now, probably going on 10 years ago now. I mean, that's crazy to think about that that NASCAR's been racing on dirt again for near on a decade. But what's your thoughts about dirt, and particularly here at Bristol?
Yeah, I have to agree with what the viewers are saying. Dirt racing's great. I just don't think that Bristol was ever built for dirt, and I think even the World of Outlaws and all these other official dirt series, they kind of agree. The World of Outlaws race at Dirt Bristol last year wasn't received too positively by fans, and those are cars that are built for dirt. Those are cars that are purpose-built for this kind of racing. It's just really, I think it comes down to the banking. There's not that many dirt tracks that have this kind of banking, and there's a reason for it. And the few tracks that do, they don't get very good attendance. So I'm not sure why we insist on dumping a bunch of dirt on one of the best concrete tracks on the circuit. I don't know why we took a date away from one of the most exciting tracks on the circuit to kind of do this. But at the same time, sometimes you got to try new things. Sometimes those new things work, sometimes they don't. And it's not all bad, especially here on Sim. I'd say it's actually better on the Sim than it is in real life, because these battles we're seeing on the Sim are a lot of fun to watch. This has been a really good race so far. I doubt I'll be saying the same thing about the real life race coming up, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would have to agree. These NSRA drivers do a great job every week, regardless of what racetrack we're at. We saw a great race at Texas Motor Speedway. We saw a great race back at Road America on the road course. Action all throughout that one. I mean, these drivers know how to put on a show for the fans, and they do it every week, and we really appreciate you tuning in to 3 Wide TV here once again as the pace truck has headed off, and we are back to green flag racing. The 17 of Tristan Meyer, that was a little bit close to a lane change. We'll see whether or not that is deemed a lane change violation or not. It was really close. It's really hard Zach Howell in the wall. I was to say, it's really hard to not lane change with these dirt trucks. Contact Lashinsky, and Lashinsky might be going around. Nope, 49 of Adams might be going around. No, they save it. They keep going straight. A little bit of bumper car action here at Bristol tonight.
Yeah, I don't know how they got through that unscathed, but somehow they always seem to find a way here in the NSRA Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. And right there, another example of it. They found a way. But they're not done trying to wreck, at least, as the 971 of Maurer is trying to fend off Hal in that 37. 37 has been, no stranger to the action. He has been involved in quite a few battles so far tonight, and he has squeaked through numerous of the incidents that have happened tonight. Now he's trying to make a move on Maurer, and a little bit sideways, here comes the pit barrels, and there they are. And unrelated to that incident, we had a car spinning up top that may have been Price, but we'll take a look at the 3-wide TV replay. Just a little bit squirrely out of the corner. Again, with all this banking the track has, it's so easy to do. He takes this entry in the middle of the corner. He's trying to keep it low, trying to keep it off the 971. And right there, you see that rear end step out. And once he gets out of the groove, it steps out even further. And those barrels are unforgiving, and they are unmoving. So a lot of damage for that 37. And I want to see if we can maybe dial up what happened to the car in front of him when this all went down, because he wasn't the only one that got involved in an incident. We're looking from the helicopter cam down at 37. So I believe it was not the 14 of Price. That may have been, was it the 20? Or was it the 48 of Fred Lester?
Let's see if we can figure it out. I thought it might have been the 48, but maybe Fred Lester is too far in front of it. You might have been right that it may have been Mitchell Adams. Let's see if we can dial it up one more time. There's definitely a couple of trucks that look a little bit similar out there here tonight. I think it was Mitchell Adams. Let's see if we can see here. He's in the wall. He's scraping the wall, bouncing off the wall here, and made contact with Lashinsky, bouncing off Lashinsky. Not sure if that's exactly what you saw there, Mitchell, but a little, I used to broadcast with Mitchell Adams, but Andre, whether or not that's what you saw on your screen, but maybe we can get another look at this.
Take a look at the 49. This may have been it. Maybe I was just seeing what looked to be the start of a spin, and it didn't quite play out fully. Yeah, right there. That's what I was seeing. Just ping-ponging a little bit and kept it going straight. Again, very impressive that they're able to keep that going. But that is going to put us in a precarious situation here, Peter. Pitting is unnecessary. I don't think the advantage of fresh tires is going to be worth the track position you give up, and they should be good on fuel from the stage pit. It's a late race restart on dirt. We're going to have under 30 laps to go. Should be close to 25 to go by the time the pace truck pulls in. Those 25 laps are going to go by in the blink of an eye. You got to remember, this race started at, 9:05, 9:07? It's 9:43, and we are almost done with this race. So those 25 laps are not going to take long at all. These guys are going to be even more aggressive than they have been thus far tonight. And I think the desperation level, if you're not Tristan Maher, has gone up, because now everybody has seen the absolute domination of that 17 tonight. They see how fast he has been, and they know that if they want to win this race, they got to get out in front. Best way to do that, get them on the restart. Try to keep them behind you. So these guys are going to be going all out, and it's going to be, it'll be a show.
Yeah, that is for sure. It is going to be a show. Pace truck lights have turned off once again. Just going to check out the chat. Stay Tuned Sports saying, what do you guys think about dirt at Coliseum? I think you made your point clear. I'm not a huge fan myself. I really think we should be going to a flatter dirt track myself, and I think that gives a little bit more action as well out there in real life. I think it's okay in the sim. I think it's better in the sim. But of course, you kind of want to follow what NASCAR does, and I think that's the reason why NSRA is here. Fifth caution about to be done with. Green flag going to be back in the air. Maher getting all types of sideway. Washes up the racetrack right in front of the number 20 of Freeman. Cuts him off. That is a great restart for our race leader, but they're going to be side by side back behind them. And we're thinking about 3 wide once again here on 3 Wide TV. Gotta love saying that each and every time that it does happen, but looks like they're thinking about 3 wide even again as Steven Lashinsky gets a little bit sideways coming out of turn number 4. But Andre, great racing up and down the field as everyone tries to sort them out and themselves out as we close in on 25 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, somehow they're able to keep it going in the right direction. Every time I see them get a little bit fishtaily out of the corner, it's making me nervous. But so far, so good here on this restart. It is officially 25 to go. There's the number 20 machine trying to pull away from Matt Cherry just a little bit. He's got about 7.5 tenths up the road to our race leader, Tristan Maher. And it looks like the 19 of Hunter is going to get into the outside wall. That'll cost him some time. And again into the outside wall here on this straightaway. 51 is not letting him drive away with this, Peter. He's pretty much keeping pace with the number 20, staying at the bumper. And this is another thing about dirt racing. You're going to see the gap. Sometimes it'll extend, sometimes it will close. You're going to see this yo-yo effect. Running consistent lap times on dirt is nigh on impossible. So, every once in a while, the 51 might be faster, then he's slower, then he's faster. And this battle is going to continue. Meanwhile, Tristan Maher, 8 tenths up the road, still leading the way as we are at the 23 to go mark. And the 20 gets into the outside wall a little bit, and that is going to allow Matt Cherry to close right up to the tailgate of that truck. Maybe try to make a move for second place. The problem is Matt Cherry has been very partial to that outside lane, and, that is exactly where Freeman's running. And right there, that was a classic case of I'm following the guy in front of me, and he made a mistake, so now I've got to make the same one.
Yeah, it's kind of monkey see, monkey do sometimes out here on the racetrack. We did have that graphic bottom right-hand corner of the screen, which did show Matt Cherry did pit at lap number 53 and did take fresh tires. Meanwhile, caution is out. We'll put a pin in that thought as we're hearing something has happened to the 971 machine of Nate Maurer. Here he is. Contact in front of him between Lester and the number 19. And the 971 just went around, tried to stay off of that madness, ended up in the inside wall. Hopefully not stuck down there, but I think that was enough to bring out the caution flag. Bit surprised that brought out the caution flag, honestly. But Maurer tried to do the heads-up thing as Bryce Hunter did a great job of saving that. And, they came back together in the corner, and they got into the wall, and they were still bouncing off of each other, probably all the way to the caution flag. Finally, it got thrown. Let's see if we can see here, Andre, what happened between Fred Lester and Bryce Hunter.
Yeah, so let's take a look here. The 19 just getting a little bit of a slap to the quarter panel from the 48. Then he slides back up the track, puts Fred Lester into the wall, which then just led to this domino effect. The 14 of Jeff Price, look at that, just slipping through the middle of all this chaos. As for why that brought out a caution, I believe there is no defined apron on dirt Bristol like there would be on regular Bristol. So even though he was really far down the racing surface when he spun down on the flat, the game did not consider that to be off the racing surface. It's all racing surface as far as the game is concerned. And so when other cars were passing by him up the top, that triggered the yellow flag, leading us to our 6th caution of the night, the 5th for cause, and yet another late race restart, this time with even fewer laps remaining. So this is going to be quite interesting. I think if you're Maher, you're getting a little bit frustrated because he's nailed the restart so far, hasn't really made any mistakes, but you got to be thinking he's probably behind the wheel of that 17 thinking, how many times do I got to get these restarts right? How many times are they going to try to take this from me? Because tell you what, one mistake on a restart, that could be it.
Yeah, we've seen how difficult it has been for these drivers to get the power down on the restarts. They get a little bit sideways. All it takes is a little bit too much of that, and they could go around or have to back out of the throttle when they don't want to. So Jason Freeman, he's kind of knocking on the door. And do remember, Matt Cherry does have fresher tires than the two drivers in front of him, but it just seems like that bottom side of the racetrack has absolutely gone away at this stage of the race. And just if you're going to run down there on that bottom side of the racetrack, I'm just kind of, looking right here, Andre. You kind of see that the track has really rubbered in those middle grooves. And in iRacing, that ends up making that portion of the track very slick and very difficult to control. Just trying to see if there's enough dirt down there. It's really hard to see where the apron would begin kind of at normal Bristol. As you see, there's a definite apron where it transitions in banking, and maybe that's what the number 51 is also looking at here of Cherry, to see if maybe there's enough down there where he can stay below that slippery groove. I just don't know if there is. It would be difficult. He might have to get a little bit lucky with a mistake from the number 20 if he wants to have any shot at the number 17, or make a pass here on the restart as the green flag is back in the air. Backhands kick out. Looks like the 51 of Cherry's going to clear the number 19 of Bryce Hunter. That's good news for him, but he's not going to make any inroads on the number 20. Meanwhile, back behind them, side-by-side action here between Lester and the number 14 of Jeff Price. Price down there on the inside where, I was about to say, slides up into Hunter, and there's contact, and they're still trying to sort things out. No, there's a painful hit back there. And finally able to get the camera on the number 19, and that's going to bring out the caution. And, Andre, that happened all the way in turn 3 and 4.
In a matter of seconds, the 19 goes from being a stock car to a Beyblade. That hit from the 917, Nate Maurer just sending him spinning around the speed of sound, I'll tell you what. And then that inside wall, very unforgiving as well. That's going to be his night over. I know these trucks are tough here at Dirt Bristol, but not quite that tough, and it was just a matter of what we were talking about earlier, Peter. You got to be careful how much momentum you carry down on the low side, because eventually that car is going to give way as far as grip is concerned. It's going to slide up the track, and if there is somebody in your path while you're sliding up the track, it's going to be not fun at all on board with the 19. So right there, you almost think he's got it sorted out, but unfortunately things go from bad to worse, then to nauseating. Not a great end of the night for the 19, who really showed a lot of speed prior to this.
Yeah, definitely a tough break for the number 19. Looks like, I thought his engine had blown, but looks like it's still under power. I did see smoke billowing from Nate Maurer, however, who sits in his pit box. It looks like it might be night done. It would be very surprising to see him get back out there here in the final 12 laps. So our lap car count continues to dwindle here. I think we're down to 13 drivers on the lead lap, and Bryce Hunter there was 13 drivers on the lead lap. Make that 12 now as, make that 11 now as the 48 of Fred Lester also falls down a lap. So a couple of these drivers falling a lap down late here in the 7th caution flag of the night. Andre, for the opening 40 laps, we only had 2 cautions. And, the back half of the race, action heats up, and, the caution count rises.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's not even really a case of cautions breed cautions, because we are getting some decent runs between the cautions, at least 10 laps or so generally. It's just that these guys are being so aggressive. They're trying to pick up every single point that they can. They know that they're on the clock. The laps are winding down, and like you said, things just get a little bit crazier towards the end of these races. And on dirt, that's amplified. I don't know if anybody watched the late model race that Kyle Larson was in the other night, but that race was absolutely insane in the last 10 or 15 laps. And, we might be looking at something similar here with these Stay Tuned Sports Podcast trucks. But either way, it's going to have to be another good restart for the 17. He's done it so many times tonight, and now he's got to do it at least one more time, as it will be under 10 to go when we do drop the green flag. It looks like the lights will go off this time, I believe, as they're getting doubled up. So we'll see as they come down the front straightaway. Lights do go off, so it'll be 8 to go when we drop the green flag. Those 8 laps going to go by in the blink of an eye. With the number 20 machine, he's got some good restarts in the past, but he's got to do just a little bit better if he wants to have an opportunity to get around the 17. And on this restart, I want you to keep an eye on that 17. He is going to go to the low line, just like he did last time. He does not want to be where the track is a little bit darker, where all that rubber is, because it's like driving on ice. And the only way to avoid that is either to go to the very high line where the 20 is, so he can't do that, or go to the very bottom where you're going to be flirting with the apron, and that's what he's done a couple times. So green flag in the air. Tristan Maher with a good restart as the 20 gets a little bit squiggly. And the 17, well, he's going to the top. Not the bottom, but the top, as that lane did open up. And the 51 says, all right, you go high, I'll go low. So Matt Cherry trying to make a bit of the lead. He's way down on the low side of the track, but number 20 getting into the outside wall is going to secure second place at least if he can't make the move on Maher. And they're going to go single file for second place. But look at this, the number 20, a huge send down to the bottom. It's a slide job to Matt Cherry and a slide job to the wall. Valiant effort. Didn't lose a whole lot of time, but didn't gain much either.
Yeah, now the big question is, can Cherry run down Maher in the closing laps? There's already about 0.7 of a second between them. Quite a few truck lengths between the top two. Will we see another caution or not? Meanwhile, further back, there was a battle here between Garrett Gleason and Adam Dama. They were duking it out. I think Adam Newton, nope, it was Fred Lester scraping the wall. First truck 1 lap down. Just looking up and down for battles for position. This is probably the best one. This is Steven Lashinsky holding 4th, but he's got former series champion Mitchell Adams back behind him as Mitchell Adams goes up into the wall. And look at Doug Neal, our pole sitter here tonight, continuing to battle through the adversity. He wants to get into the top 5. You're not missing anything up at the front. Still Maher by 0.6 of a second. That slide job, I think, really cost.
Oh! Man, oh man, I don't know how Doug saved that. He was going the wrong way real fast, but he kept her going.
Yeah, I saw that, and I had to just stop what I was saying because that number 77, I thought he was absolutely toast there, but able to get it pointed back in the right direction. Doug Neal sliding back. And, you know, Andre, we talked about it a little bit earlier that some drivers are really good when the track is fresh, and then they start to struggle as the night goes on. I think that's where this number 77 machine falls in the grand scheme of that. It's, Lashinsky in the wall. Here comes Mitchell Adams. We're side by side for 4th. Looks like Adams is going to take it here as we're down to just 2 more laps to go. Let's see what's happening up at the front of the field. Cherry's trying to run him down. He is closing. But Andre, this will be the white flag lap here if the number 17 can get there. We won't see any more cautions. White flag is out. Here comes Maher.
Now remember, you can close the gap a lot quicker on dirt than you can on asphalt. So the 51 is not out of it yet, but he may need a bobble out of the 17. Down the back straightaway for the final time, 0.8 between them. Tristan Maher going to the high line where he has been all night long. Through the final set of corners to the finish line, Tristan Maher wins Bristol Dirt in dominating fashion. Matt Cherry, with a great effort and a good run, finishes second place. Freeman back there in third is going to round out the podium, and the rest of the field filing in behind.
And you have to remember, if it weren't for Texas Motor Speedway, where Tristan Maher did not show, requested a provisional, we could have been looking at 4 wins from the opening 6 races, but he makes it 3 wins of the opening 6 races and 3 wins from his 5 starts so far for the Eclipse Photography F-150. So Maher gets it done here in tonight's Mudslinging 100. Gonna do a little bit of a burnout here with his team. And I don't really know if you can do a burnout here on dirt. You don't get any smoke anyway, that's for sure.
Might have to go down to pit road for that.
There is some pavement on pit road, but nonetheless, it was a pretty good race here tonight. A little bit of a shorter one than what we're typically used to. Usually about an hour longer is what we're usually used to, but now Maher gonna do a little bit of drifting, going in reverse around the racetrack.
I tell you what, this is melting my mind. You know, you always hear turn right to go left, but now he's turning left to go right. So he's turning left, but he's going the wrong way. I am just astounded. But the Mudslinger 100 winner doing his Polish victory laps. Not a Polish victory lap, but rather laps as he is continuing to drift his way around the circuit and celebrate his win. I do believe we have the drivers starting to get ready for some interviews here, if we can dial them up. But man, oh man, what an exciting finish to the race. That restart really bunched a lot of drivers up, changed the running order a bit.
That is for sure. Well, while Tristan continues to run that thing out of fuel because he did not make a pit stop here tonight, so he probably doesn't have a whole lot of fuel in it. And interestingly, that might be an interesting point to talk to the number 17 about when it is all said and done. But let's see if we can dial up tonight's third place finisher, Jason Freeman. Let's see if we can drag him into the booth, and I'll let you take it away with Freeman.
Mr. Freeman, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Jason, you were definitely one of the front runners all night long, pretty much up in third, second, even up front for a while there. It was an interesting race, to say the least. Definitely a lot different from what we're used to seeing. How was it from your perspective behind the wheel?
Yeah, these things are a little difficult. I don't really fully understand them. I think this is only my second race on dirt and a stock car. So I was trying to figure it out. I only got on here about 10 minutes before practice started. Haven't been on iRacing, I don't think, in 2 weeks. So, I was happy to qualify on the front row and come away with the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really complain about a podium for your second stock car dirt start for sure. We saw a lot of cautions kind of bunched up at the end of the race. It was a lot of green flag racing at first, and then a lot of yellows at the end that led to a lot of restarts. Were the restarts particularly challenging on dirt compared to racing on asphalt?
I mean, I was having trouble getting it to, switch gears, and I don't know if it was from wheel spin or what. So then I started using the clutch those last couple restarts. But Tristan and I are teammates there, so we tried to work together and just tried to, remain 1-2 and see what we could do there.
Absolutely. Well, again, congratulations on a podium finish. Before we let you off the hook, is there any shout outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, just my dirt racing experience. Some I run a decent amount of modified races on here, and 15 years ago or so, I used to run 600 micro sprints on dirt in real life. But these things didn't even really compare. They're just so heavy. I mean, I'm used to sending in the turn and turning right, but these things you almost got to turn down the track and let it come around. And I was having trouble with that in practice. Tristan helped me out a lot there, so big shout out to him. I would definitely not have been as fast as I was without Tristan's help. Shout out to Justin White, NSRA, Jimbo there, helping out, sponsoring the league and such, and you guys up in the booth. And check out my truck sponsors, Mason Dixon Cornhole. It's a little side gig I do, run a lot of cornhole tournaments, and follow along. Hopefully we'll have a website soon and apparel, and just looking forward to next week, and thank you guys for all you do.
I do love me some cornhole. Well, thank you for your time, Jason, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep, thank you.
All right, third place finisher out of the booth, and now I believe Peter Short is caught up with Matt Cherry, our second place finisher.
Yeah, it was a valiant effort from the number 51 machine here tonight of Matt Cherry, who did come down and make a pit stop at the halfway mark and just coming up a little bit short. Looked difficult to pass out there, Matt. I saw you trying to find a little bit of grip down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, but it looked like the track was pretty wore out there at the end. Kind of talk us through your night.
Yeah, down on the bottom, the only way you can pass there is if we were on a restart. That's the only reason I got past the 20. If I could have got past the 20 15, 20 laps ago, I may have been able to focus a little bit more and got up there to him, but I was just trying too hard there at the end and put it in the wall more times than I liked.
Well, like I said, a very valiant effort from that number 51 machine. How much dirt racing have you done on the iRacing.com simulator, especially with these stock cars, since they are a different beast?
I've ran a couple of modified races here and there. I mean, I ain't got enough to call myself a dirt racer, but I've ran the stock cars on here quite a bit. So I like this place. It's fun to race.
Well, it sure did look fun from up here in the booth, hanging it sideways all race long. We know that you are one of those drivers that likes to let it all hang out there on the racetrack with a loose race truck, and we definitely see that on the dirt. But next week we keep the short track action going, but we remove the dirt from the picture. Martinsville Speedway, Martinsville, Virginia. What are your thoughts of the paperclip next week?
Oh, I like Martinsville. It's I'm not very good there, but I can hang in there with them.
It's definitely a racetrack that I myself have to practice at week in, week out to try and get better at, is Martinsville Speedway, to prep for the race, as I'm not the best there myself. But nonetheless, Matt, congratulations on your runner-up finish here tonight. Before we let you go, you got some shout-outs?
Yeah, I give a shout out to Jimbo and Justin for keeping this thing going. NSRA's been going for a couple of years now, and I've ran it pretty much every year. I know I don't show up like I should every week, but they still got a good thing going here.
It definitely is, and great racing like we saw out there. If you yourself want to become a member of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, just give us a message in the chat here of YouTube or leave a comment after the race. But Matt, congratulations, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
All right, I appreciate it. We'll see y'all.
All right, folks, the number 51 will be leaving the booth here, and now I think it's time to go down to Victory Lane on top of a building here at Bristol Motor Speedway, if you don't know where it is, and that's where Tristan Maher is and Andre Grambush.
Mr. Maher, you got a copy?
I do.
Well, Tristan, that was a pretty dominating performance. I kind of expected the lead to change hands quite a few times tonight, but leave it to that 17 truck to definitely prove me wrong. Led a lot of laps on the way to this checkered flag. Seems like you know a little bit about dirt racing.
Well, believe it or not, I don't really do any dirt racing on the iRacing service, other than when Bristol Dirt comes around in the trucks. And that's when this comes around, this is pretty much all I run. For some reason, I have a little bit of a knack for it. I'm sure I'm definitely not the fastest guy around, but I have a little bit of pace, and I really enjoy it.
Now, one thing that Peter and I were both kind of noticing is you were, I believe, the only driver that did not make a pit stop for fuel in that race. Was there a strategy to that, or just didn't feel like you needed to come down pit road at all?
A little bit of strategy. I believe there's only one other truck that didn't pit, and it was Jason Freeman. And that's because we're teammates, and we were kind of talking about it, and definitely a strategy play there. When the stage break came around at lap 50, I did not have enough fuel to make it to the end. Me and Jason Freeman both talked about it and both kind of agreed that since a bunch of people did pit, there was going to be some cautions from people trying to come back through the field. So we really banked on having a string of cautions there, and we got it, and that's what set us up to make it to the end.
Now, obviously, the track changed a lot throughout the course of the night here on iRacing. When the track rubbers up, it kind of paradoxically gets a little bit slicker. What was it like trying to adapt to the change in the track? I know a few times I saw you on the restarts diving down to the very low line or the very high line, trying to get out of that groove and put yourself into the fluff, so to speak. What was it like trying to adapt?
Basically, so this is actually the old Bristol Dirt configuration. There is a new one on the service, but the new one has a little bit more banking, and the reason for that is the added banking provides better multiple line racing. You can, in dirt racing, you can pull side jobs with added banking a lot easier than you can on like this. Bristol doesn't have as much banking as the new one, so it's a little bit harder to run anything but the top when the track gets rubbered in like that. The top is definitely the fastest way around, and you absolutely have to 110% commit and send it into the corner if you are trying to slide up in front of somebody. just because of the speed that they're able to carry on the top and how much you have to slow down on the bottom. So it is pretty hard to adapt, and in this configuration, it becomes almost a one-line kind of deal. If you're not running the top, then you're going to be running slower lap times than everybody else. And that did make the restarts very tricky. The only reason I didn't take the outside on every single one of those restarts was because I had my teammate on the outside. So we had a little bit of collusion on the restarts, talking about it and stuff like that. And that's the only reason I took the bottom. The bottom is absolutely horrendous to restart on this configuration, at least. So yeah, a little bit of mind games and stuff being played and strategy when the track gets worn in.
I love the phrasing on that. It wasn't teamwork, it was collusion. But yeah, great job tonight, Tristan. Great points tonight. And again, just a really fun race for us to watch. And I'm sure you had a lot of fun behind the wheel. Before we let you go, is there any shout outs you'd like to make for your win?
Yeah, I want to shout out you guys up in the booth. I love going back and watching the broadcasts and listening to your beautiful voices. Have to shout out NSRA, the league that this race is hosted by, or these races are hosted by. Every Friday night we do truck races. If anyone is interested, look them up on Facebook. And Justin White for, I know he's got a busy life, so thanks to him for setting all this up and hosting it and everything. And now we have to thank Eclipse Photography and MaxGrafix. Christopher Darling does excellent paint jobs. If anyone's interested in getting their stuff painted, go over to him, and he does a great job.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Tristan. Congratulations on the win, and we'll be seeing you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
And that is going to be the race winner out of the booth. And it's kind of interesting, Peter. I really, if I was a betting man, I'd say he had a little bit more dirt experience on the stock car side of things than he really admitted to there. So it just goes to show sometimes, you have a knack for something and you just kind of jive with a certain driving style. And it seems like this definitely suits him. But we do have the final race results, so you can figure out exactly where your favorite driver finished in the Dirt Slinger 100. Tristan Maher, we just spoke with, taking the win by about a second over second place Matt Cherry, who in turn was about a second ahead of Jason Freeman, bottom step of the podium. Mitchell Adams brings it home in fourth place. Not bad. We've seen him involved in a few scuffles, but that's a great thing about dirt. You can get involved in a few accidents and still bring it home inside the top five. Stephen Lashinsky with a very impressive top five. And it looks like Doug Neal, our pole setter, is going to fight back to sixth place, which might sound a little bit disappointing considering he was our pole setter. But as far back as he was in the grid after some of those restarts, getting back up to sixth place is not bad at all. Adam Newton in the 29 machine at seventh place. Vinny Valvano with a top 10 tonight in eighth. Adam Dama in P9. And rounding out the top 10, it's going to be Garrett Gleason.
Yeah, I think Garrett Gleason getting in the top 10 is probably the most shocking thing out of this entire finishing order here tonight. But Fred Lester going to come home in 11th. In 12th, Michael McCauley, Jeff Price finishing in 13th spot. Not sure exactly what happened to Jeff. He had a couple of issues throughout the field here tonight, but finishing 12 laps down. Bryce Hunter in the number 19. Also, I think there was a little bit of contact between Bryce Hunter and Jeff Price. Maybe that's what maybe took both of them out. Hunter finishing 14th. That's a tough break for him. We saw him up inside the top 5 for a while as well. Nate Maurer in the 971, 15th. Zach Howell, 16th here tonight, 38 laps down. Paul Bilson, 17th. Philip Scott, tough break for him here, 65 laps down, not finishing. Jimbo Casterline finishing 19th. Brandon King, who had early troubles in the number 55 with some heavy contact with the wall and then had to bend suspension. He finishes 20th, and then John Flamian rounding out our field here tonight at Bristol Dirt. And I'm sure for a lot of the drivers, Andre, they'll be happy to see Martinsville in 1 week's time because the dirt stuff, well, you don't really have to do with it unless you're right down there on the inside of the racetrack where they had those nasty curbs.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You would hope that after a track like Dirt Bristol, the drivers would get an easier track on the circuit, maybe a week to kind of compose themselves. Now, Nope, they go straight to Martinsville, which is going to be definitely close quarters, very difficult in its own right, but a ton of fun to watch. That is pretty much going to be my post-race thoughts. Anything else, Peter?
Yeah, just it's going to be a good points night for a couple of the drivers who were able to stick it out and get a good finish, like Tristan Maher, Matt Cherry, Jason Freeman, especially with Scott Crump and Philip Scott, a couple of drivers up the top of the point standings, not having a good night, and of course the Tesoro brothers not being here tonight as well. So big winner tonight, not only on the scoreboard, but in the point standings will be Tristan Maher picking up his 3rd win of the season. How about that? We'll see if he can get win number 4 next week at Martinsville. But for myself and everyone at 3 Wide TV, big shout out to Jimbo Casterline and Stay Tuned Sports, and of course everyone else like Justin White, who makes the NSRA tick week after week here on the channel. But until next week on the racetrack, stay safe and all that good stuff, and we shall see ya!